everybody. Today I'm going to review Makita's brand new XSH03 6.5-inch 18V LXT brushless circular saw. Now I first saw this back at the World of Concrete in Las Vegas in February of this year, and I did get to check out a lot of their new tools along with this while I was there. Now really I only got to put in a few cuts with it, and it did seem impressive at the time. But after getting this in and doing actual testing with it here, I can tell you without a doubt, this thing is absolutely amazing. It does a tremendous amount of work on just one battery charge, and you're going to see later on in the video what I mean by that. We did extensive runtime testings, not only through OSB plywood, but also through 2x4s. And I can tell you without a doubt that this is going to have the longest runtimes out of any circular saw that I've tested to date. So what I'm going to do in this video is give you a little comparison between this and their larger X2 36V saw. Then we're going to see the different features of it. And finally we're going to see how it actually performs. Now if you do get one of the kits, what's going to be included in the box is going to be one of their carrying bags, 2 of their 4 amp hour 18V LXT batteries, a rapid charger that can bring these back to a full charge in roughly 35 minutes, the brushless circular saw, as well as one of the 6.5-inch 24-tooth carbide general purpose blades. So really everything that you're going to need to start cutting wood is going to be included in the kit. And all you really need to do when you get it is charge the batteries, pop them on the saw, and then you're going to be ready to go. Okay, here's a little side-by-side comparison with the brand new 18V 6.5-inch brushless circular saw. And then the XSH01, which is the 36V 7.25-inch circular saw. Now I did do a full review on this, and it does have extremely impressive run times. But keep in mind it is running on 2 of the 18V LXT batteries. Now these both being the 4 amp hour batteries. Now however, the smaller brushless version is only going to be using 1 of those batteries. And it does a tremendous amount of work per charge. Now, the other thing I want to point out, as far as the styling goes between the 2 of these, as far as the color schemes and construction, they do look very similar, with the main difference being the blade orientation. The larger saw, of course, having the right-hand blade orientation, meaning that the blade is on the right-hand side of the grip. The smaller 6.5-inch is going to have the blade on the left-hand side for a left-hand blade orientation. So some people really like one versus the other, or some people don't have a preference, but do keep that in mind. They do have different blade orientations. The other thing to point out, this does have a rafter hook on it, the smaller 6.5-inch. So if you're on top of a ladder, you can hang this on a rafter, and you're going to know exactly where it is. You're not going to have to rig something up to hold it for you. Where the larger 36V does not have a rafter hook, and you would have to carry this back down the ladder when you're done. Now finally, the other thing I want to point out is the fact that the larger 36V saw, along with pretty much all the full-size 18V saws from the competition, do weigh about 50% more than the smaller 6.5-inch version right here. So this comes in at about 7 pounds with a battery. The larger 18V saws are coming in close to 11 pounds. So if you are using this, especially let's say above your head all day or with your arm extended, you are going to get a lot more tired and worn out using a heavier saw versus this lighter one. Here's a closer look at the circular saw, and the first thing I want to point out is that the blade guard as well as the shoe are made out of metal. This dark blue portion is going to be a hard plastic, and then the black portion is going to be a softer rubbery overmold material. The battery, of course, is going to be on a slide rail system like any of the other 18V tools. You can just slide it right in place. When you hear the click, it's ready to go. To adjust the bevel of the shoe, they do have a lever right here. What we're going to do is just pop that down. The shoe will automatically bevel up to 45 degrees. And let's say you need to go more than that, you need to go to 50 degrees. They have a stop right here that you can actually rotate up, and now the shoe will rotate down to 50 degrees. But because many people only use 45-degree angles, you can leave that down, and you know when you slap it all the way down, you are going to be on that perfect 45-degree angle. Now, when it's time to set the depth of your cut, you'll just turn it around. Behind the motor right here, there's a separate lever. We'll flip that up. Now the shoe is going to pivot up and down so you can adjust the correct depth of your cut. So let's say we want to set it about halfway down. We can then lock that lever down and we'd be ready to go. Now, lastly, I want to point out the fact that when it's time to change the blade, they do have an Allen key right here. We can pop that right out. You can see it is stored right on the tool. Go around here to the front, and then you can actually remove the arbor bolt. Now, because this is a left-hand blade orientation, when you go to remove this, you do need to actually turn it clockwise to remove it, not counterclockwise, because it is reverse threaded. So don't turn it actually counterclockwise, you would be tightening it, and you could shear that off, and then you'd have to send it in for repairs. When you're done changing the blade, just take that key, put it right back on the back here. It's going to slide right in place, and it's going to be there the next time you need to use it. Now, the other thing I want to point out is the fact that they do have an onboard battery indicator right on the tool, right underneath the grip right here. So I'll just slightly pull it on the handle. You can see it light up, and there's 3 bars of power. That means that it has anywhere between 50 and 100% charge. When it's down to 2 out of the 3 bars, it's going to have a 20 to 50% charge. And then finally, when you only have 1 bar of power remaining, you're at 0 to 20% charge. Now, when you do finally run out of power, what's going to happen is that first light's going to be solid and the second light will be blinking. That's going to mean that you need to really just stop working at that point and put the battery back on the charger and then recharge it. Now, because the batteries do charge so quickly, this 4 amp hour battery, for example, on the rapid charger will go back to a full charge in only roughly 35 minutes. So now I want to go ahead and do the runtime testing with this so you can see what type of performance you'll expect to see out of the 6.5 inch brushless circular saw. Okay, I just popped a fresh blade on here in a fully charged 4 amp hour battery pack. Let's see how many cuts we can get through standard 7/16 OSB on just 1 battery charge. $108 cuts through 7/16 OSB with just 1 battery charge. Okay, I just popped a brand new blade on here in a fully charged 4 amp hour battery pack. Now let's see how many cuts we can get through a standard 2x4 on just 1 charge. 374 cuts through a standard 2x4 on just one battery charge. So now you've seen Makita's brand new XSH03 6.5-inch brushless circular saw for yourself. And because this is running off the 18V LXT batteries, the batteries as well as the charger, if you buy one of the kits, are going to be compatible with over 100 other tools in Makita's 18V LXT lineup. Now really I want to point out the fact that because of the extremely efficient brushless motor that they have built into this, we were able to get those extreme run times. Now the closest competition, really this beat by over 50% through the 2x4s with that massive 374 cuts, and then almost 50% more through the OSB with 108 cuts, which was 432 linear feet. So there's a couple things that people may or may not like about this that I do want to point out. The first being the blade orientation. It is on the left-hand side, and unlike a larger 7.25-inch saw, those are going to be typically on the right-hand side. So if you're used to a right-hand saw, this may take a little getting used to. And then really the other thing is, at the top of the grip here is going to be the safety mechanism that's going to be the trigger lock. So you can see if you just pull the trigger, nothing's going to happen. But you must press this little tab in, and it's on both sides of the handle. As long as you press that in and then pull the trigger, the saw is going to start right up. So that's just a safety feature that really anybody that's used to a corded saw is going to take a little getting used to. But after you use this for, let's say, a day, it will seem very natural to you and you'll get the hang of it. Now as far as weight goes, a standard 7.25-inch cordless saw does weigh about 50% more. This does come in at about 7 pounds, where the larger 7.25-inch saws are coming in anywhere from, let's say, 10 to 11 pounds with a battery installed. So if you don't need that extra cut depth that the 7.25-inch can give you, and you can make do with a 6.5, or you're just doing, let's say, rough framing with plywood and 2x4s, this is going to get the job done for you, and you're going to be able to get a ton of work done with just one battery charge. If you like this video, please click like. If you like my channel, please click subscribe. And thanks for watching.